What's up, teammates? Look, Fernando Mendoza is not better than Aaron O'Connell, and he's not even ready for the pros right now. Why do I say this? Because I actually watch film. A lot of people think that they talk, but they don't watch. Me, I watch films. And what else do I do? Take notes. You guys know I love my notes. So here are my notes. And this is what I learned about watching Fernando Mendoza as a college football quarterback. He is not the type of quarterback that you're putting your team on his shoulders and he's taking you to the promised land. He is not given the keys to the car and told to take it down the street and have fun with it because we know that you know how to handle the wheel. He is nothing like that. He is a very, very controlled quarterback who is allowed to make certain things done in certain ways. He's big, yes. He's strong, yes. He's has escapability, yes. He has great accuracy, yes. He has a good back shoulder throw, and he can throw a good deep ball. These are all things that he has as a quarterback. None of those things mean anything when you get to the pros if you can't make the throws that pros can make. What do I mean by that? There are levels of throws. 1 to 10 yards, that's short throws. 10 to 20 or 10 to 25 yards, that's considered pro level throws. Those are the throws that you need to make to get first downs if you're a quarterback. You can't get a first down if you don't throw the ball 11 yards down the field, right? I mean, that's the way it works. So you have to be able to make those pro level throws and then be able to be decent at the deep ball as well. What you do in college has to be at least comparable to what you can do in the pros. You have to be really, really good at what you do in college to be able to do it in the pros, right? But if you can even at least do it in college, we know you can at least do it in the pros. We don't know how efficiently yet, but we know you could at least do it. Now, you out there who think that you could put Fernando Mendoza in the game right now, I want you to know that Fernando Mendoza is not better than Aiden O'Connell right now. Okay? This is why. This is what he's done in his college career. He has thrown the ball. I looked at his best games, his best 3 games. I went to his game for the college championship that he won. I went to his 5 touchdown game, and he had another 3 touchdown game. Okay? I looked at those games. I looked at what he does in those games. And we don't got to go through everything. We don't got to see everything I went down there. But long story short, 60% of his pass completions are from 10 yards or closer than the line of scrimmage. Okay? 70% of his completions are from within 10 yards or the line of scrimmage. So all of the vast majority of his work is him standing 8 yards back, maybe 5 yards back, depending on how deep they want him in the shotgun. 70% of his college career is standing 5 yards back and throwing the ball less than 10 yards past the line of scrimmage. Is that ready for the pros right there? Is that the training that you need to get to the next level? Is that going to be the type of ability that's going to get you to the Super Bowl? Are you going to do 7-yard outs all the way up to the Super Bowl? You going to stay in shotgun the whole time? Let me tell you why Aiden is better than this kid right now. Because he can't do any of that. This kid doesn't know how to, he doesn't know play action. We're on a football team in the pros that's going to be run heavy. We need a quarterback who knows how to do a play action. He just knows how to. Maybe one who's done it in a game before you just throw him on the field. because Fernando Mendoza has never even been under center. Not in those 3 games I saw. So I assume that it was pretty much the same for the rest of the games. He doesn't even do a quasi fake play action. I seen him do something like he backed up and did this and then he threw the ball. I guess that's kind of play action type mode. I'm not disrespecting the kid. I gave him his props on what he can do. Now we're talking about what he can't do. What he can't do is get under the center and backpedal. He just has no drop. And if he does, great. He doesn't have one in an NFL game. He doesn't have one in a college game. He doesn't drop back. He is not ready for the speed that's coming at him. Not now, not today. I think they can develop him. Are you going to develop him, though, from a quarterback who takes, in these 3 games, he averaged 16 throws a game. 16 throws was his average. That's not putting your team on his shoulder and letting you get there, right? He's not driving you there. Oh, these games, we look at pro level throws. He completes 50% of his passes that go from 10 yards to 30 yards. That pro level pass area. He had 14 attempts over the 3 games, which is what, 4 attempts? 4 attempts over 10 yards. And he only completes 50% of those. And you want him to come into the league and beat Kansas City. That's a very big gap that you have to cross in a very small span of time, right? And I say Kansas City Chiefs because that's our main rival. We're gonna, if I'm gonna, put up numbers for Fernando Mendoza, I gotta find some numbers to compare with Aiden O'Connell's numbers, right? But how do I make it as challenging as possible? I took Fernando Mendoza's best 3 games of his career, and I chose those 3 so I can choose 3 games for Aiden. And the 3 games I'm choosing are the 3 games against the Kansas City Chiefs. Not his best games ever, not the most touchdowns I could find, not the most yards I can find. I took the 3 games he played against the Kansas City Chiefs and took the totals from those games. And this is what you get. Well, let me give you first. I forgot to give you Mendoza's totals. Well, I gave you, over that time, he had, 10 touchdowns in those 3 games because those were his best games. And we're just going to talk about regular NFL games against the best team in the NFL and what Aiden O'Connell was able to accomplish. And in those 3 games, his average is 62% pass completion, 210 yards per game with 1 touchdown a game and no interceptions. Okay. So how about I just, if I can put Aiden's best game against the Chiefs out there, where he had 23 for 35, 340 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's his best game against the Chiefs. You expect Fernando Mendoza, who has not done a quarterback drop in a college game, who has not done a play action pass in a college game, who rarely, narrowly, only 20% of the time throws the ball past the 10-yard line, or in between the 10-yard line and the 30-yard line. And if you even combine those, 30% of his throws go past the 10-yard line. 30%. That's not a whole lot of throws being thrown very deeply. That's not a quarterback who's been given the keys and told drive it down the street. It's a quarterback whose dad is sitting right next to him in the passenger seat, and he says, turn left here, turn right here, listen to Siri. Those are the directions. He's being coddled through it. He's doing what he's being asked to do, and he's doing it well. Thing is, he's not asked to do much, so it's not on his shoulders the victory or the loss to a certain extent. When it comes to the pros, it's all going to be him. It's going to need to be. You're the pro quarterback. Even if we are a run heavy team, he's still going to have to learn how to do a play action pass and make a completion within 3 seconds when he's used to standing 6 yards behind the line of scrimmage and throwing the ball at the maximum and throwing the ball less than 10 yards 70% of the time. This is the transition that you have to make. See, this is not I think he's good because I've heard it a lot, and then every sportscaster I know says he's good. And, when I watch Pat McAfee, he gets pissed off at anybody who's saying something negative about Fernando Mendoza, which I'm not quite sure what that's about. But if he looked at all those games, if he really want to talk about analyzing somebody and thinking that they're a talent and why, looking at those numbers is not what a top level quarterback prospect looks like when he's ready to play in the league day one. It's not that. He's not a CJ Stroud, okay? He's not even Jaden Daniels. He's not Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels was always in the shotgun, always. But it was also his team. It was we go as Jaden goes, go Jaden go, right? This is not that. Not with Fernando Mendoza. It's Fernando, don't up it up, Doza, and everything else will go fine. And I'm not saying that makes him a bad quarterback. It means he's not a dominating force at the quarterback. And to be a decent quarterback in the pros, you should be at least a dominating force in college. 16 attempts per game when 70% of those attempts go less than 10 yards past the line of scrimmage is not a dominating performance in college. If you ask me, and you're watching me, so you're obviously asking me. Just saying. So where's he going to develop these skills? Do you really think he's going to go from 5 yards deep shotgun quarterback to less than 10 yards per throw 70% of the time, and then go into top level under the center quarterback, making play action passes and completing more than 50% of his passes over 10 yards and under 30, right? Because right now he's only completing 50% of his passes between 10 yards and 30 yards, okay? Those are pro level passes. Almost all your passes are going to be like that. It's going to be 70% of your passes now are going to be between 10 and 30 yards. If not more. There's a lot of screens. Some teams don't lose screens, and some teams don't throw a lot of designed bomb plays. So what he has to do is the exact opposite of what he's been doing his whole college career. Everything that's made him successful in college is going to be the exact opposite of what he's going to need to do on this team to make us successful. And he's going to need to learn how to do it in the next 3 months. And he's going to have to be better than Aiden O'Connell at doing it, when Aiden O'Connell has been doing it for years in the pros, has a decent record in the pros, and beat the Kansas City Chiefs once, almost beat them the second time. And the time that he did lose to them, he had 340 passing yards. So you telling me that you think Fernando Mendoza can go from throwing the ball 16 times a game, barely past the 10-yard line 30% of the time, to going to the pros, playing against the Chiefs, throwing the ball 30 times at pro-level throws, because even if it's past is under 10 yards. He's in the pros, so all the throws are pro level throws. And how many touchdowns he had? 2 touchdowns against the Chiefs. We're doing play action and drop back passing. When his best game, he had 16 or so pass attempts. I don't even want to look at the number. Best game, 5 touchdowns. Well, I'll say he had 18 pass attempts. I think it was even less than that. 5 touchdowns, 18 pass attempts. And still, again, more than 70% of his passes coming down from less than 10 yards by past the line of scrimmage. That's a big jump, and that's a lot to do. And he has to learn that. So Aiden's already here because he already knows that, right? So Mendoza's over here because he has to learn that. He hasn't even learned it yet. So now he has to learn it, be able to do it, and then be able to do it better than Aiden O'Connell, who's been doing it for 4 years, successfully against the best team in the NFL. And I'm a fool for thinking that he's good enough to be the starter. I'm a fool for saying Aiden O'Connell should be starting. And everybody else is a genius for saying a college football player who throws the ball less than 16 times a game, with 70% of those passes being from less than 10 yards away, out of the shotgun. And he's going to go transition instantly to being that much better than Aiden O'Connell in the next 3 months. I must be out of my mind to think that that can't happen. And what is wrong with me? What kind of logical thinking fool am I thinking to have a quarterback come from a cater type offense where he sits there and makes the planned out short plays and everything else goes smooth for him because he's only allowed and asked to do a minimal amount of things, to coming into the pros and being the main man behind the center, chucking the ball in the air 30 times, more than 10 yards down the field for 70% of those plays, off of play action and drop backs. When you've never done a play action pass in your life in college and you never did a drop back, not that I've seen in those 3 games. And I'm foolish for thinking Aiden O'Connell's better. Hey, whatever. I can't convince anybody. Everybody's already convinced, right? All I can do is tell you what you need to know. And that's what you need to know. Those are the facts that you should be able to get, understand, and then apply, right? Everybody else is just saying, I think he should start because I think he should start because throw him to the wolves and see if he don't get bit. And as long as he gets pulled out of the Lions, then he's fine. You know? No. Why do that? Why force that issue when you already got something better than him playing? But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he can progress that fast. There's a chance. A snowball's chance in hell, but that's always a chance. But I don't see it. And if he does, kudos to everybody else who picked it out. But when he doesn't, remember I'm the one who said he wasn't, right? When that time comes, remember who told you, who gave you the correct prediction, who won. Well, I didn't win this time yet, but I will. That was my daughter texting me, sorry. But I will win this one because Aiden's just a better quarterback. It has nothing to do with my personal feeling. It's about looking at what the numbers say, and it's about watching what he's doing on the field. And what we learned earlier from watching the other one, which I can't believe so many, let me time out. I can't believe so many people watched that clip. I appreciate all y'all. My members went up. I wasn't expecting anything. As a matter of fact, I just figured I was getting my name out there or just really just getting my throat rolling. Really just trying to figure out how to do this thing. And if people watch, I got some likes. I got a couple new subscribers. Thanks, folks. I appreciate it. I'm going to actually start reading the comments. I never thought I would have any comments. Now I'm going to make sure I read them and respond. This is fabulous. All right. Back to the games. And back to the talk. He's not ready. Maybe he'll be ready at some point, but he's not going to be ready anytime this year. If Kurt and Aiden don't both get hurt, Mendoza's not going to see the field. Or if we are completely out of the playoffs, there's no reason to try, then we'll put Mendoza in there. I don't see us being in that position. But I hope we're not in that position. I could see us being there, obviously, but I hope we don't get in that position. But if we do, then that's probably going to be the time when they're like, you know what? Let's get them that NFL pro experience that we've been hoping we could get. Because there's no reason, even if Aiden or Kurt are performing, if we're not getting to the playoffs, there's no reason to even waste the time. That's good training that we should be giving them. So, once we're eliminated from the playoffs, I hope that they start Mendoza from then on. Until then, it's supposed to be a quarterback battle between Kirk Cousins and Aiden O'Connell. But in the last video, like I started to say, Aiden O'Connell, by the numbers, is a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. So, we'll see who works the best in this offense between Kirk Cousins and Aiden O'Connell. But Fernando Mendoza is out of it, okay? He's not playing at all, okay? So go ahead and get that off your chest. Stop hoping. Go ahead and you can mark that in. He's not ready. He cannot be ready for the NFL, doing what he did in college and then coming to the pros and try to do something completely different, much harder, and then try to be the man. When on the team, he wasn't even the man. He was the coach's man, and the coach put him in perfect conditions so that he can succeed, ergo standing 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage in shotgun and then throwing the ball less than 10 yards down the field. That's a recipe for success if you can keep it going. And if you got a coach good enough to draw all those plays and that kid is big enough to see the plays, arm is accurate enough to execute every time, that will win you a college national championship. That will not win you a professional football quarterback job. Can they make him more? Of course. That's why they drafted him, because they see what he is and that there's more that can be made from what he is. But what he is, where he needs to be, and how long it takes to get there is the question when it comes to rookies. So the distance is the problem. It'd be different if he came out like a C.J. Stroud or even, a Aiden O'Connell, because they both had to play under center. They both did legitimate play action plays, and they had an offense where it was all about them, where if you don't succeed, we won't win. That's how it is. If you don't succeed as a quarterback when it was C.J. Stroud's team or when Aiden was doing his thing in college or even here in the pros, if the quarterback doesn't succeed, you don't win. And he does not have the tools to even be in the game right now. He doesn't have the tools to be in the game right now. Do you understand what that means? People understand. You don't learn how to do a 3-foot drop, a 3-step drop, a 5-step drop, and a 7-step drop in the same week. Okay? You can use that, and even if you can learn one in a week, that's 3 weeks. And then you got to learn your handoffs, and then you got your play action handoff, and then you got to learn the playbook, and then you got to remember the playbook by heart, and then you got to remember all the numbers and all the names and all the positions. And you're going to do all of this in a very short time when you've never done it before. At least when they put it on CJ Stroud's shoulder, he had done it before. You know, when Jaden Daniels came in, he had the team on his shoulders before. Maybe he wasn't coming under center as much, but he still had to learn to come up under center. You know, he still had to learn to do. He was already doing pro level throws. He was always hitting those 10 to 30s there. You know what I mean? He had dope receivers to catch them, but he was hitting them seams. He knows how to get the ball far down the field. He knows that if he doesn't perform, they're not going to win the game. He's had the team on his shoulders. Fernando Mendoza has never had that. He doesn't have the team on his shoulders, so he hasn't felt that pressure. He hasn't had to get under center, so he doesn't know what the timing about that is. No one's ready for the speed in the NFL, and his escapability works in college. I don't know how well that's going to transfer over to the pros because it's going to be a lot faster dudes, but that doesn't mean that it won't. I just saying I don't know how. I don't know how. I'm not saying that it can't. I'm saying that I don't see it happening. I'm saying that there's a good chance that it doesn't happen due to the speed. But we'll see that when it comes. In the very end, the kid ain't ready, so he's not better than Aiden O'Connell right now. Kurt has always been a big fan of the turnover, so he's not better than Aiden O'Connell right now. We will see what Kent Kubiak decides is necessary from his starting quarterback to see who will start out of Aiden and Kirk Cousins. But Fernando Mendoza is way too far behind from where he is to where he needs to be as an NFL quarterback to be trying to start him now. How fast he can grow and how well can they develop what he needs to get over an extended amount of time, over a season, that's up to his brain, his heart, and his stick-to-itiveness. Okay? But it's not there now. It won't be there game 1 in the beginning of this season. Could it be game 8 in the middle of the season? I don't know how miraculously better the kid can get. I'm not saying I have those abilities of foresight. What I do know is going from where he is to where he needs to be is going to take much longer than 2.5 months. That being said, that is why Aiden O'Connell is better than Fernando Mendoza right now, because Aiden O'Connell has proven it, he has done it, and he can continue to do it. Fernando Mendoza doesn't even know how to do it. He has no chance to prove it, and he hasn't been anywhere near a situation where he can show that he can do it. Aiden's been in the game. He's been in the pros. He's been up against the toughest team in the league, and he's been successful. This is me telling you from what I see and what I've analyzed and the numbers that come up. That has nothing to do with everybody else says he must be great, so he must be great. And they don't know a dag snappy thing about anything that happens in the game. You know, did have a good season. He was up there. He took his team to the national championship. Great kid. All right. 29 minutes. I get to rambling on these things. I'm trying to get it down to less time. But the truth is the truth. And it takes some time to get the truth out. And the truth is Mendoza's not better than Aiden. Kirk Cousins not better than Aiden. All people don't believe me. And I will be right when the time comes because Clint Kubiak knows what a quarterback is. Okay? The only way that Kirk Cousins can start is if Clint Kubiak just feels like he has to hold on to him because he's worked with him so well. But even if Kirk Cousins starts out as a starter, he won't end up the season as a starter. And Aiden O'Connell is going to start more games than Kirk Cousins. Guaranteed. You can put that in the damn books. All right, it's over 30 minutes. You know, I say you can't win them all, but when the clouds get dark and you need the bright side, come to the silver lining. I would say Guru out usually, but I'm going to go with the Raiderlorian because that's who you're going to see me as this season. So, Raiderlorian out.